Greetings, friends. My name is Trickster. Let's begin our story. Our character was an ordinary girl who worked as a nurse in a small town in northern Louisiana. It would seem that what could go wrong in a city where almost everyone knows each other? It all started with the fact that she began to notice strange things. On her way home from work, she started noticing a new car in the parking lot. Perhaps it was relatives who came to visit the patient, she thought. But she was there every day, as soon as she came to work. Is it possible that someone new got a job at our hospital to work, but it was strange? Since there were not many people in the city and all information spread very quickly, she decided to ask the others at work, but they clarified that so far no one new had been hired. She thought strangely and decided to go for lunch to drink coffee. Once inside the coffee shop, she started chatting with the barista. But suddenly she heard the sound of slamming doors. She looked back and noticed that a man had come out into the street as soon as she came in here. In the following days, she began to notice that he constantly went to drink coffee at the same time as her. But at the same time, he tries to avoid a direct meeting. Once one evening, the girl was returning home after her shift. She walked to the parking lot and got into the car. As soon as she pressed the gas pedal, she heard the roar of the engine of a nearby car. It was the same car, she noted. And worst of all, she was driving right behind me, she thought. More than 5 minutes have passed, but the car did not turn off, continuing to pursue her. Pressing the gas pedal, she accelerated as much as possible. But the chase continued, and in spite of everything, the mysterious stranger continued to accelerate. He almost got closer to her. The girl barely held the steering wheel of the car. Her hands were shaking, and her eyes filled with tears. She understood that the house was already close, and she had some kind of psycho on her tail. Having reached almost home, she noticed how the pursuer abruptly turned into a neighboring street. She stopped near the house and for some time wept in the car. The next day, she was ready to report to the police. But she noticed something strange when she arrived at work. The car was not in the parking lot, and no one entered the coffee shop except for her. After a week of close observation, she never noticed anything suspicious. Is it over? She thought. But one day, when she came to work, she also did not notice anything. Returning early in the morning from work after a night shift, she was already ready to leave. But as she got closer to the parking lot, her heart nearly stopped. She saw that car there. No, that won't do, she thought. And before moving closer and getting into the car, she thought about going back to the hospital. But before she could take any action, she heard the sound of opening car doors. A tall man stepped out of there. He was wearing a hoodie that covered his face. Yes, that was him at the coffee shop, she thought. He quickened his pace and moved closer and closer. The girl began to run with all her might. She did not look back, but heard the stranger start chasing her. He was like a beast chasing his prey, chasing it down the street. She ran, feeling that her heart was about to kick out of her chest. The streets seemed empty, and the sun was just beginning to brighten the city. Exhausted, she turned into an alley, but was disappointed. On the other side, the exit was blocked by a high wall. She was at an impasse. Realizing the hopelessness of her situation, she knelt down and began to beg to be left alone. But the stranger began to approach her closer and closer. Then she screamed help. He approached. His hand began to reach out to her. And then she heard the screams of some people, and everything became like a fog. When she woke up, she thought it was some kind of dream. But she was lying on a bed in the hospital, and there were people around her, a lot of people. One of them introduced himself as a local police detective. He said that he was grateful to her for such courage and heroism shown in the fight against the pursuer. She asked about the incidents that happened when she passed out. The detective said that patrol officers heard her cry for help, who just went on duty in the morning. They managed to react in time and stop the man. The detainee turned out to be a local resident, previously convicted of similar crimes. But now you can sleep peacefully, the detective said, and left the room. Sleep peacefully, she thought. Knowing full well that such events leave an imprint for the rest of your life.